Welcome to Beauty and the Biz. Discover how to grow your practice with effective cosmetic patient attraction, conversion, and retention advice from author, speaker, trainer, and cosmetic practice business and marketing coach, Catherine Maley, MBA.
Hello and welcome to Beauty and the Biz, where we talk about the business and marketing side of plastic surgery. I'm your host, Catherine Maley, author of Your Aesthetic Practice, What Your Patients Are Saying, as well as consultant to plastic surgeons to get them more patients and more profits. And today's episode is a really good one. It's called Plastic Surgery Marketing Trends for 2022. So if what you're doing to grow your cosmetic practice is not working anymore or working as well as it used to, this podcast is for you. The world of consumer demand, advanced technology, and marketing continues to change, so it behooves you to change with it to keep up. Now, there's a new term called Smarketing, which I love. It really sums things up beautifully. You educate yourself and then invest in smart marketing efforts that give you better results for less cost. That means more profits for you to do what you like. So the following are 14 marketing trends for 2022. They're in no particular order, but they build your presence and brand while attracting more quality cosmetic patients to your practice. So I'm going to jump right in. Trend 1. SEO is popular again. So for a while, we were hearing SEO is dead because Google has an EAT scoring system that stands for expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. Now that means they have your practice competing with the huge authority websites such as the Aesthetic Society, ASPS, WebMD, etc. And Google now answers popular questions on the first page of search rankings, which makes it less likely for consumers to click to your website. The bottom line is Google will continue to make it more difficult for you to be found organically, aka free. And since Google rules the world for the foreseeable future, you have to get more creative to be found online. Now, Google is geared towards local search listings, so at least be sure your Google My Business profile is complete and updated, and good, consistent content still works, so keep listening. Now, here's trend number 2, content marketing. Content marketing is one of the plastic surgery marketing strategies that's working now. You create and distribute valuable, relevant, and consistent content that attracts the right audience who's interested in cosmetic rejuvenation. Because in a world of relentless information coming at the consumer, they can only hear what they're interested in at that moment. So they seek out that information and come to you instead when you have the answers they need. So, what are examples of good content creation? The beauty, pun intended, is that plastic surgeons have built-in content just by being a plastic surgeon. So if you think about it, you have limitless patient content, such as prospective patients visiting you for consultations, pre-surgical patients excited and nervous about their upcoming surgery, surgical patients recuperating, post-op surgical patients returning for their follow-up appointments, and ecstatic patients fully recovered and loving their results. Each patient has a different story at each phase of their journey. That's a lot of content, but there's so much more. You also have limitless practice content, such as FAQs for each procedure explain the way you explain it, additional new treatments and procedures you offer, interesting things happening in your practice, staff stories, birthdays, and anniversaries, and then, of course, personal stories such as your hobbies, family, travel, and so on. So here's a tip. Your next hire should be adept at videotaping you, video editing, and social media, so they're capturing the day in the life of a plastic surgeon. Now here's trend number 3. Privacy rules will increase advertising costs by 30 to 80%. Yikes! Privacy issues are killing your plans for attracting new patients to your practice. So much is happening behind the scenes with Apple, Google, and Facebook trying to dominate consumer data capture, so they're no longer sharing data with advertisers like before. But to be fair, they've also been sued billions of dollars by the government for sharing data. So the new game is who can collect and hide the most data from the others. Actually, Apple's positioning themselves to get into advertising since they're putting a moat around their data by not letting their competitors collect the data. So this is going to make it difficult for you to attract new preferred patients when you can no longer target specifically to certain audiences. And that means ad results will become incomplete and inaccurate because now you only have 10% of the data that you used to have 100% available to you. So that's going to force you to increase your advertising budget substantially and then hope the broader, less targeted audience is interested in cosmetic rejuvenation. So it's very similar to old school mass advertising like TV. You spend a fortune to talk to anybody and everybody rather than a targeted audience most likely to want your services and are looking for them. So not only do your ad costs increase dramatically, so do poor quality leads and conversions. Since your ads are not as targeted to your preferred patients, you get a mixed bag of the public contacting you. Now your staff wastes a lot of time triaging these leads to determine who's flaky and who'd actually really be serious in moving forward. So I recommend you have trained staff and processes to qualify leads. And if you aren't already, please charge a consult fee so at least your time is better protected from wasted consults who have no intention of moving forward. So regardless of their motives, these few internet companies affect you big time if you're using paid advertising to attract new cosmetic patients. Now here's trend 4. Social media platforms are strangling your audience. Social media has become the most influential virtual space available today to help you grow your practice. It's here to stay, so you might as well embrace it. However, please keep in mind, you're only renting those followers. Instagram and Facebook own your followers, so they are in essence your landlord. That means they can raise the rent and or kick you out at a push of a button. So you lose your data you spent years collecting. Now I'm sure you're aware that social media and plastic surgery do not get along. You're showing graphic material that can be offensive or hurt the self-esteem of the public, so they can close you down without notice. They also decide who sees your organic content. Now, Facebook and Instagram continually strangle your list to force you to pay to play by buying more advertising. Now, the latest stats show only 5.2% of your followers actually see your organic content. So you have this false sense of security thinking you're making your practice or marketing your practice when in fact it's drying up right before your eyes. Here's trend 5, acquire your own data. Take back your power by owning your audience data. You can no longer trust that audiences you have built on social media platforms will be or stay available to you in the future. So you want to build up your own list of anybody who is or could be interested in cosmetic rejuvenation. So here's a tip. Use landing pages to capture your followers' name, email, and cell phone so you can stay in touch with these would-be patients no matter what happens with these huge internet platforms. Now here's trend number 6. Google AdWords, also known as PPC or paid per click, will get more expensive for lesser results. Costs will continue to increase due to the lack of advertising space to monetize on the first page of a Google search ranking listing, which is where you want to be. This increases the search cost per click, and growing competition is going to increase those costs even more. By the way, search query growth has stagnated in recent years, so that tells you that prospective patients are going elsewhere for their search inquiries to places like social media, which is turning into the new Google search. It'll be a while though for that to really happen. Google's going to continue to put PPC AdWords on automation since they look at PPC as a math problem that can be automated. Now that means your PPC manager will not waste hours tweaking bids since automation will do it for them, but while Google continues to improve their artificial intelligence to take control away from advertisers in the name of better targeting and intent, the downside is you're going to need to monitor what Google's doing. So here's a tip. Since your PPC person is now the gatekeeper of whether these automated options are best for you or Google, please have them report their findings to you regularly and have them explain the results so you know what's working. Trend number 7, user-generated content. This is the holy grail of social media marketing in 2022. Users commenting and sharing your posts not only provides credible social proof for your services, but it's also a great way to boost your SEO. Your greatest asset is enthusiastic patients willing to rave about you online and share your content with their own followers. So for 2022, determine what inspires your audience to share your content with their followers. And how can you engage them to create this user-generated content? Building relationships in the digital world is paramount to grow your audience of prospective patients. So here's a tip. Ask questions and conduct surveys and contests because they're great ways to go back and forth with your audience. Trend number 8. Influencer marketing. This is going to continue to be popular in 2022, and why is that? Because it's human nature to do what we see others do. That means when prospective cosmetic patients are uncertain about what to do, they look to other people around them that they trust or want to be like, such as experts, celebrities, and friends. People also make judgments based on their overall impression of someone. So for example, we think anything that experts use is great because they're probably more knowledgeable than us in their area of specialization. And we buy products and services endorsed by celebrities because we want to look like them. I don't actually resonate with that one, but I do with the next one. We trust user reviews because they have experienced the product or service already. Now, since you probably can't get a Kardashian to be your celebrity social proof, here's the next best thing. Your influencers are also your patients. They may not be a celebrity, but they are happy patients who can authentically relate their experience to other prospective cosmetic patients just like them. So start with your own patients with a strong social media following. So just have your staff ask your patients about their social followers in a conversational way, or check out their stats on Instagram and then ask them how they got so many followers. Then you want to videotape a Q&A session with them and do it that way because then they're going to be more comfortable because they won't be scripted and they can ad lib in a more comfortable way. And then just ask them simple questions that they'll know the answers to, such as why did they come to you, or how do they feel about the result, or any advice they have for others considering that same procedure. So here's a tip. If you do want to work with the big influencers, there are plenty of influencer marketing platforms. You can just Google it. However, be very clear what they will do for you to market your practice and what they expect back in return. And then be sure they and their followers match your brand and values. Here's trend number 9. Video is uber popular. So videos do a great job at building awareness and they're extremely engaging since a majority of your audience would prefer watching videos versus reading long copy on your website. So videos are here to educate, entertain, and captivate. So you want to use them to position yourself as the expert. Now in today's world of authenticity and transparency, your prospective patients want to know you as a skilled surgeon and as a real person. That's what builds your brand. They want to see you in action and hear what you have to say. These would-be patients are looking for someone they can connect with, and video helps with that. So you can start your own YouTube channel and designate an outside videographer or a tech-savvy internal staff person to capture and post content and video to then be shared throughout your social platforms. For example, do a tour of your office, interview a patient to describe her own journey, and do educational videos going over FAQs of your popular procedures. So here's a tip. It would behoove you to have a videographer on staff who can shoot and edit videos to be cut up and repurposed for the various social media platforms. Now here's trend number 10. Personality marketing is hot. You can no longer hide behind a surgical mask and only be a surgeon, and your headshot on your website just doesn't cut it anymore. That's a great start, but you also need to be seen as a human being and a great boss, a devoted family man, a fitness buff, a dog lover, a philanthropist, a weekend pastry chef, or anything else your patients would be interested in knowing about you. They need to see you in action, so keep it simple. Select someone in your office to capture the moments of a day in the life of a plastic surgeon, and even on the weekends, because you are the content. It's you preparing for surgery, doing surgery, your post-op visits, consulting with new patients, interacting with staff, and so on. It's endless content for you since no day is the same, and you have an endless stream of patient stories, their journeys, and their results. Trend number 11 is texting and messaging. The reality is you have to be where your cosmetic patients are to engage with them, and that's on their cell phones. Texting is the highest engagement rate of any marketing medium by far, because they have an open rate of 82%, and 90% of text messages are read within 3 minutes of receipt. Now, this is exciting because you can reach out to patients with a push of a button. The response is almost immediate and can be a nice boost to filling up your schedule and bumping up your revenues. But you must put a plan in place so you don't end up in hot water, since there are rules about texting your patients. So use these tips to get started. Get permission from your patients to text them, and then use a texting platform that automates the process and tracks everything. And then use super compelling messages that include really special offers, and then allow them to opt out easily. Now, here's a tip. The Cellular Telecommunications Industry Association requires SMS marketers to include messages and data rates apply in auto reply messages. So most text marketing services will add this disclaimer automatically, but it's on you to ensure it's included. Trend number 12, retention is the new patient attraction strategy. It has become more important than ever to use cosmetic patient loyalty and retention strategies to grow a cosmetic practice. The barrage of marketing messages pummeling consumer prospective cosmetic patients today leaves them confused and overwhelmed and indecisive. These factors make attracting new patients to your practice expensive, complicated, and frustrating. It costs 7 to 12 times more to acquire a new cosmetic patient than to retain an existing one. And one of the biggest mistakes established cosmetic practices make is putting all their resources into new patient leads and ignoring the existing patients who were the very people who grew the practice for them in the first place. So an easy solution is to set up an automatic system to nurture your current patients who can help you grow your practice by returning, referring, and reviewing. This prevents your competitors from luring away your patients. So here's the bottom line. Maintaining relationships with your existing patients is the only reliable and predictable strategy that gives you a competitive advantage. Your existing patients grow your cosmetic revenues for you, which brings you cost savings you may not have considered. For example, reduced advertising costs, less of your valuable time wasted on price shoppers who are not likely to book, staff time used more productively working with good quality patient leads that convert, reduce patient turnover expenses and fewer lost patients to replace, increase lifetime value of patients, less patients lost to competitors, more positive word-of-mouth referrals and social proof. So if a patient loyalty program makes sense to you, please check out my kissloyaltyclub.com for a done-for-you proven solution. And here's trend number 13. Email marketing makes a comeback. So while the challenges continue with privacy laws and Google changing the rules regularly, email makes a comeback. Nowhere else can you have the one-on-one attention of patients as you can with email. Think of your email list as a practice money-making asset, because it is. This is the highest quality list of prospective cosmetic patients you have because they already have given you money. They know, like, and trust you, and they're much more open to what you have to say. Email gives you the time and the space to get your message across that you can't in social media. It's just too fast-paced. An email allows you to segment and personalize. That's how you convert more of your audience to take action. Now, there are so many ways to slice and dice your message to that patient list who is most likely interested in what you have to say. For example, introduce a new filler to your patients who have had filler before. For your more mature patients, talk about your advances in aging face techniques. And then for those in their 30s and 40s, show off non-surgical treatments you offer that give them a lift. So here's a tip. Plan an email calendar with monthly themes and smaller targeted emails to keep in touch with your patients so they stay top of mind. Use killer subject lines to get your email opened and personalize with your patient's name. And here is the last plastic surgery trend, number 14 for 2020. There are no more silver bullets. You must optimize for marginal gains to win. Now, you used to be able to build your practice using only one marketing channel, but not anymore. Insane competition and advanced marketing tactics make it harder to stand out. So marketing is now about marginal gains from many different marketing channels. The shift is from focusing on one channel that is your holy grail to working on slightly improving each area of your marketing and your new patient lead process. It's about improving your marketing results by making incremental improvements in your processes that add up to big results and big wins overall. So rather than focus on new leads only, you also focus on your lead response time, the callers converting to appointments, the consultations converting to paid procedures, following up on leads that don't book, and more patients returning, referring, and reviewing. This shift in mindset and focus is how you're going to win in 22 and beyond. So I invite you to reach out to me if you want to grow your revenues using Smarketing to attract more patients without discounting, so you have more income without working harder, more free time, and you never again have to worry about attracting a steady stream of cash-paying patients. And that wraps up this episode. And if you did find this helpful, would you please do me a favor and leave me a Beauty in the Biz review at iTunes? I would super duper appreciate that. And of course, feel free to share this with your colleagues and staff. And then if you've got any feedback for me or questions, feel free to leave me a message on my website at catherinemaley.com, or you can certainly DM me on Instagram at catherinemaley.mba. Thanks so much, and we'll talk again soon.
We hope you found valuable insight on this episode of Beauty in the Biz. For more episodes, tools, and Catherine's free book, visit www.catherinemaley.com. That's www.catherinemaley.com. And be sure to subscribe to get the latest practice building strategies delivered to you. And don't forget to share this Beauty in the Biz podcast with your staff and colleagues.